ExamPrep.School. Tennessee Title Insurance Exam, exam code INSTN-Title31. There are 6 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. General insurance concepts and contract law. Legal descriptions of real property. Methods of transfer and conveyances. Real property ownership. Rights, interests, and encumbrances. Tennessee laws and departmental rules. Title insurance policies and ALTA forms. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under Tennessee Code. Annotated Section 56-2-108. During an investigation of an insurer, the insurance commissioner may exercise which of the following powers? A. Order an insurer to delete specific policy exclusions. B. Directly impose criminal sanctions on company officers. C. Subpoena documents and administer oaths to witnesses. D. Adjust past premiums retroactively for existing policies. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. The insurance commissioner is authorized to subpoena documents and witnesses and to administer oaths during examinations of insurers under the investigative powers granted by Section 56-2-108. Authority to reshape policy language or impose criminal penalties resides elsewhere, and the commissioner cannot retroactively change premiums. Reason A is not correct. Policy wording changes require formal rulemaking or filings rather than investigative subpoenas. Reason B is not correct. Criminal penalties must be pursued through the Attorney General and courts, not directly by the Commissioner. Reason D is not correct. The Commissioner lacks authority to alter past premium amounts. Regulatory review applies prospectively. Question 2. Under Tennessee Code. Annotated Section 56-2-304. The Commissioner's authority to conduct administrative hearings includes which of the following matters? A. Approval of a new policy form requested by an insurer. B. Resolution of contractual disputes between an insurer and insured. C. Allegations that an insurer committed deceptive advertising. D. Review of premium credits offered by an insurance service office. The correct answer is C. Section 56-2-304 grants the Commissioner the power to hold hearings on alleged unfair trade practices, including deceptive advertising. Policy form filings are administrative filings. Contractual disputes are private matters, and ISO premium credits are actuarial issues outside hearing authority. Reason A is not correct. Policy form approvals are handled through filings and department review, not contested hearings. Reason B is not correct. Contractual disputes between parties must be resolved through courts or arbitration, not administrative hearings. Reason D is not correct. Premium credits by an ISO are actuarial considerations outside the purview of contested hearings. Question 3. A Tennessee title insurer is found to have issued policies that misrepresent coverage details. Before the Commissioner's cease and desist order becomes effective, what must legally occur under state law? A. It becomes effective immediately upon adoption, without prior notice or hearing. B. It becomes effective after the order is served on the insurer, and 10 days pass without a hearing request. C. It only becomes effective after a formal administrative hearing has been conducted and a ruling rendered. D. It becomes effective 30 days after the insurer receives notice, irrespective of any hearing request. The correct answer is B. The Commissioner must serve a written order and provide the insurer 10 days to request a hearing. If no hearing is requested within that period, the order becomes effective. Reason A is not correct. An immediate effect is incorrect because the insurer must first be served and given an opportunity for a hearing. Reason C is not correct. A formal hearing is not required before the order takes effect. The hearing request window can lapse without halting the order. Reason D is not correct. A fixed 30-day delay is incorrect since Tennessee law specifies a 10-day period for requesting a hearing, not 30 days. Question 4. Which of the following is a mandatory eligibility requirement for a Tennessee resident applying for a title insurance producer license? A. Completion of a 40-hour pre-licensing education course. B. Submission of fingerprints for state and federal criminal background checks. C. 2 years of verified underwriting experience in title insurance. D. Citizenship by birth in the United States. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that applicants must submit fingerprints for state and federal criminal background checks, as required by Tennessee law for all insurance producer licenses. Other options are not mandated eligibility requirements for a resident title insurance producer license. Reason A is not correct. Completion of a 40-hour pre-licensing education course is required for some insurance lines in Tennessee, but not specifically mandated for title insurance producer applicants. Reason C is not correct. Underwriting experience is not a prerequisite for initial licensure. The focus is on education and examination rather than work history. Reason D is not correct. U.S. citizenship by birth is not required. Lawful presence or permanent residency suffices under Tennessee law. Question 5. Under Tennessee law, which condition must be met for a non-resident title insurance producer to obtain a Tennessee non-resident license under reciprocity without taking the state licensing examination? A. The producer must pass a national title insurance ethics examination sponsored by a recognized trade association. B. The producer has maintained continuous title insurance agency affiliation for at least 3 years. C. The producer's home state grants non-resident title insurance licenses to Tennessee residents under similar terms. D. The producer holds both an owner and loan title policy form certification from an approved insurer. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that Tennessee grants exam waivers to non-resident title insurance producers whose home state reciprocally extends similar licensing privileges to Tennessee residents. The other conditions are not recognized reciprocity requirements. Reason A is not correct. Passing an ethics exam is not a substitute for the Tennessee licensing exam and reciprocity agreements. Reason B is not correct. Prior agency affiliation duration does not affect reciprocity. The waiver purely depends on home state provisions. Reason D is not correct. Holding policy form certifications is unrelated to statutory reciprocity for licensing examination waivers. Question 6. Before sitting for the Tennessee Title Insurance Producer Licensing Examination, an applicant must complete at least how many hours of pre-licensing education from an approved provider? A. 12. B. 15. C. 24. D. 20. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that Tennessee requires title insurance producer applicants to complete at least 20 hours of approved pre-licensing education prior to examination. The other hour totals do not meet statutory requirements. Reason A is not correct. 12 hours is insufficient, as Tennessee law sets a higher education requirement for title insurance licensing. Reason B is not correct. 15 hours is below the statutorily required pre-licensing education threshold. Reason C is not correct. 24 hours exceeds the minimum requirement but is not the mandated baseline number. Question 7. Jordan has completed all required pre-license education for a Tennessee title producer license and has submitted the online application along with the processing fee. Which of the following steps must Jordan complete next to satisfy the department's licensing requirements? A. Submit a $50,000 surety bond to the commissioner. B. Secure appointment with a Tennessee licensed title insurer. C. Submit fingerprint impressions for a background check. D. Register and pass the Tennessee title insurance examination. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is fingerprint submission, because Tennessee regulations mandate that applicants must provide fingerprint impressions for a background check immediately after application and fee submission, but before any bond filing, examination results confirmation, or insurer appointment. Reason A is not correct. Submitting a surety bond is required but follows successful background clearance and license approval, not immediately after fee payment. Reason B is not correct. Securing appointment by an insurer occurs only after the department issues the license, so it is not the immediate next step. Reason D is not correct. Passing the title insurance examination is a prerequisite for application submission, so it does not follow a fee payment. Question 8. Under Tennessee title insurance law, which of the following best defines rebating? A. Returning a portion of the title insurance premium or a commission to an insured as an inducement. B. Sharing title insurance commissions with another licensed producer. C. Providing future premium discounts based on policyholder referrals. D. Charging flat fees for title services regardless of the premium amount. The correct answer is A. Rebating under Tennessee title insurance law is defined as the return of any portion of a premium or commission to an insured or third party as an inducement to purchase, which is prohibited because it can distort fair competition. Reason B is not correct. Commission sharing with another licensed producer is a distinct practice and not classified as rebating. Reason C is not correct. Future premium discounts may be subject to filed rate requirements, but are not the statutory definition of rebating. Reason D is not correct. Charging flat fees independent of the premium does not involve returning any portion of the premium or commission as an inducement. Question 9. Which of the following inducements is expressly prohibited in Tennessee title insurance marketing? A. Offering a $75 gift card to prospective insureds as an incentive to purchase. B. Providing educational brochures about title insurance coverage at no cost. C. Extending a 10% premium discount on subsequent policies after initial purchase. D. Charging a nominal fee for processing title document requests. The correct answer is A. Tennessee rules prohibit offering any cash or gift equivalent valued above allowable promotional limits as an inducement in title insurance marketing, and a $75 gift card exceeds those limits. Reason B is not correct. Educational materials distributed free of charge are permissible promotional items. Reason C is not correct. Premium discounts may be allowed if they comply with filed rate schedules. Reason D is not correct. Charging processing fees is a legitimate charge and not considered an inducement. Question 10. Which practice constitutes unfair discrimination between similarly situated insureds under Tennessee title insurance regulations? A. Charging higher premiums to insureds in the same risk class solely based on age. B. Offering a lower deductible to insureds with homes built from fire-resistant materials. C. Providing rate credits to policyholders with no prior title claims. D. Adjusting policy rates based on individually filed and approved rating schedules. The correct answer is A. Unfair discrimination occurs when insureds with the same risk characteristics are charged different premiums for impermissible reasons, such as age alone without actuarial justification. Reason B is not correct. Differentiating terms based on actual risk factors, such as construction materials, is permitted. Reason C is not correct. Rate credits for no prior claims are allowable if based on actuarial support and filed schedules. Reason D is not correct. Using filed and approved rating schedules to adjust rates is compliant with regulations. Question 11. In the context of title insurance, the term risk most accurately denotes which of the following? A. The fluctuation in market value of real estate over the policy term. B. The total appraised value of the insured property used in premium calculations. C. The insured party's liability arising from errors in preparing the title examination. D. The potential for a covered title defect to impose a financial loss on the insurer. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is the potential for a covered title defect to impose a financial loss on the insurer because risk in title insurance specifically refers to the chance that an undiscovered title defect will lead to a claim and financial exposure. Reason A is not correct. This option addresses market value volatility rather than the insurer's exposure to title defects. Reason B is not correct. This distractor describes property valuation for premium setting, not the concept of risk itself. Reason C is not correct. This choice confuses professional liability for title examiners with the insurer's exposure to title defects. Question 12. Which statement best contrasts pure risk with speculative risk in an insurance context? A. Pure risk arises primarily from voluntary activities, while speculative risk originates from uncontrollable external events. B. Pure risk involves only the possibility of loss or no loss, whereas speculative risk includes the possibility of gain as well as loss or no loss. C. Speculative risk is generally insurable, whereas pure risk is typically excluded due to unpredictability. D. Speculative risk encompasses only outcomes of loss or no loss, while pure risk allows for both profit and deficit. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that pure risk involves only the possibility of loss or no loss, whereas speculative risk includes the possibility of gain because pure risks are insurable events without upside, and speculative risks carry both upside and downside potential. Reason A is not correct. This choice reverses the origins of the two risk types and misattributes voluntary versus external causes. Reason C is not correct. This option incorrectly states that speculative risk is insurable and pure risk is excluded, which is the opposite of standard underwriting practice. Reason D is not correct. This distractor swaps the definitions of pure and speculative risk, confusing which allows for gain. Question 13. After closing on a residential property, the new owner learns that a clerical mistake at the county recorder's office failed to note an existing mortgage on the title. In applying the concept of peril in title insurance, which item constitutes the peril in this scenario? A. Omission of a prior mortgage due to a recording error. B. Discovery of underground oil storage tanks on the property. C. Reclassification of the property into a commercial floodplain. D. A hidden structural defect in the house's foundation. The correct answer is A. The omitted mortgage represents a defect in title arising from a recording error, which is the type of peril insured against by title insurance. Reason B is not correct. Physical contamination risks are not defects in title but environmental hazards excluded from title insurance coverage. Reason C is not correct. Zoning changes and floodplain designations are regulatory conditions, not title defects covered as perils. Reason D is not correct. Structural flaws in the building are physical property defects, not legal title defects insured under a title policy. Question 14. Within the jacket of a standard ALTA owner's title insurance policy, which section prescribes the procedural steps the insured must follow in submitting a claim and the conditions under which coverage applies? A. Conditions and stipulations. B. Exceptions and permitted encumbrances. C. Insuring clause and coverage definitions. D. Policy endorsements and riders. The correct answer is A. The Conditions and Stipulations section is the part of the policy jacket that sets forth the insured's obligations, procedural requirements for filing claims, and circumstances affecting coverage. Reason B is not correct. This section lists matters excluded from coverage rather than claim procedures. Reason C is not correct. This section contains the promise of coverage, not the insured's procedural obligations. Reason C is not correct. A $2,500 limit does not apply to standard HO3 mold sublimits. Question 15. Which of the following best describes the function of the insuring clause in a standard title insurance policy? A. It outlines the insured's duties to provide notice and assist in defense against third-party title claims. B. It establishes the insurer's contractual commitment to indemnify the insured for losses arising from covered title defects. C. It enumerates specific exclusions and exceptions to the policy coverage. D. It provides definitions for key terms used throughout the policy document. The correct answer is B. The insuring clause defines the insurer's contractual obligation to compensate the insured for losses resulting from title defects covered under the policy. Reason A is not correct. This describes responsibilities covered in the conditions section, not the insuring clause. Reason C is not correct. Exceptions and exclusions are addressed in a separate section of the policy. Reason D is not correct. Definitions of key terms are contained in a distinct definitions section. Question 16. A recently issued title insurance policy contains a conditions section stating that coverage becomes effective only upon full payment of the required premium, and that the insured must notify the insurer promptly of any claim. If the insured fails to pay the premium and later discovers a covered title defect, what is the most likely consequence under the policy's conditions section? A. The insurer must honor the claim but charge a penalty. B. The insurer has no obligation to defend or indemnify until the premium is paid. C. The policy automatically excludes any defects discovered after a 30-day grace period. D. The policy's limit of liability is reduced by the unpaid premium amount. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that the insurer has no obligation to defend or indemnify until the premium is paid, because the conditions section establishes the insured's obligations precedent to coverage. Failure to meet those prerequisites suspends insurer liability. Reason A is not correct. This suggests the insurer honors the claim, but penalizes the insured. Conditions do not impose penalties but defer coverage until obligations are met. Reason C is not correct. This confuses a time-based exclusion with a condition. The conditions section does not create deadlines that automatically void coverage after a grace period. Reason D is not correct. This implies a partial reduction in liability, but conditions do not operate to reduce the policy's limit of liability. Question 17. A title insurance policy includes an exclusion clause for losses arising from off-record easements. 3 months after closing, the insured discovers that a prior owner had granted an unrecorded easement across the property. Under the policy's exclusion section, what is the insurer's obligation regarding this loss? A. Provide defense but deny coverage under the exclusion clause. B. Indemnify the insured for any loss despite the exclusion. C. Amend the policy to include the off-record easement upon receiving notice. D. Decline to defend or indemnify for matters covered by the exclusion. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that the insurer must decline to defend or indemnify for matters covered by the exclusion because exclusion clauses remove the insurer's obligations for specified risks. Reason A is not correct. This confuses an insurer's duty to defend with coverage obligations. An exclusion removes both defense and indemnity. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because an exclusion clause eliminates indemnity liability for the specified risk. Reason C is not correct. This implies an automatic endorsement process, but inclusion of off-record easements requires a negotiated endorsement. Question 18. Under Tennessee law, which of the following is not a required element for the formation of a valid insurance contract? A. Legal purpose. B. Offer and acceptance. C. Insurable interest. D. Warranty. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is warranty because essential elements include offer and acceptance, consideration, legal purpose, insurable interest, and competent parties. Warranties are policy statements rather than formation elements. Reason A is not correct. Legal purpose is a fundamental requirement for any valid contract, including insurance. Reason B is not correct. Offer and acceptance establish mutual assent, making them essential formation elements. Reason C is not correct. Insurable interest is required at inception to ensure the contract is enforceable. Question 19. Under Tennessee law, in the issuance of a title insurance contract, the insurer's acceptance of the applicant's offer is most commonly evidenced by which event? A. Issuance and mailing of the title insurance policy. B. Receipt of the premium by the insurer. C. Issuance of a title commitment. D. Execution of a binder form. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is issuance and mailing of the title insurance policy because acceptance is complete when the policy is delivered, forming the binding contract. Commitments and binders do not alone finalize acceptance. Reason B is not correct. Receipt of premium provides consideration but does not by itself finalize acceptance. Reason C is not correct. A title commitment outlines conditions but does not conclude acceptance of the contract. Reason D is not correct. A binder offers temporary coverage but does not constitute the formal acceptance of the policy. Question 20. During a real estate closing in Tennessee, the closing attorney prepares an owner's title insurance policy application that states the buyer will pay the premium by bank transfer within 15 days of closing. The attorney issues the policy the day of closing without receiving any payment. Later, the buyer fails to remit payment. Under Tennessee law, which statement correctly describes the effect of the premium payment as consideration for the title insurance contract? A. The insurer's promise to indemnify before receipt of funds creates a unilateral contract that the buyer has not accepted. B. Because no payment was received at closing, the policy is void for lack of adequate consideration until funds clear. C. Payment terms in title insurance are an internal business matter and do not affect enforceability of the contract. D. The buyer's promise to pay after issuance constitutes valid executory consideration, and the policy is enforceable. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that the buyer's promise to pay constitutes legally sufficient executory consideration, and the contract remains enforceable even though the premium is unpaid at issuance. Tennessee law recognizes a future promise to pay the premium as valid consideration for a title insurance contract. Reason A is not correct. This mislabels the agreement as unilateral, whereas both parties made binding promises creating a bilateral contract. Reason B is not correct. This incorrectly treats the promise as insufficient. The issue is executory, not past consideration. Reason C is not correct. This wrongly assumes premium payment terms have no legal impact, but consideration is required for enforceability. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.